Daniel Green stood at the window of his quarters aboard the USS Endeavour, watching the stars streak by. In 3 days, he would become the first human to set foot on the Vorsidian homeworld. The weight of 7 billion lives rested on his shoulders. "Ambassador Green," a voice called from the doorway. "The captain requests your presence on the bridge." Daniel turned to see his aide, Peter Johnson, waiting patiently. "Thank you, Peter. Tell her I'll be there shortly." After straightening his formal blue uniform, Daniel took a deep breath. 6 months of intensive training had prepared him for this mission. Or so he hoped. The bridge of the Endeavour hummed with activity as Daniel entered. Captain Samantha Miller stood at the center, her tall figure commanding respect without effort. "Ambassador," she said with a nod. "We've received a transmission from the Vorsidians. They've approved our approach vector and sent docking instructions." "That's good news," Daniel replied. "Any change to the diplomatic protocols we discussed?" "None. Their high command still insists on meeting only with you and your core team. My ships will remain at the edge of their system." Daniel frowned. "I don't like that we'll be out of immediate rescue range." "Neither do I," Samantha said, lowering her voice. "But those are our orders from Earth Command. We can't risk offending them on this first official visit." The Vorsidians had made contact with Earth 3 years ago. Their massive ships had appeared near Mars without warning. The initial panic had given way to cautious communication, then limited trade. But the aliens remained mysterious, sharing little about their culture or intentions. "Dr. Wright is waiting for you in conference room 2, Samantha added. "Final briefing on Vorsidian customs." Daniel nodded and made his way through the ship's corridors. Crew members stopped to wish him luck as he passed. Their faces showed a mixture of hope and worry that mirrored his own feelings. Dr. Ethan Wright, Earth's leading xenobiologist, had spent the last 3 years studying everything humans knew about the Vorsidians. His gray hair stuck out at odd angles and his eyes looked tired behind his glasses. "Ambassador," Ethan said, gesturing to the data screens around the room. "I've updated your briefing package with the latest information." "Anything critical I should know?" Daniel asked, taking a seat. "Yes. New data suggests their society is even more hierarchical than we thought. They operate on a strict caste system with complex rules about who can speak to whom." "That complicates things," Daniel said. "Indeed. Their leaders may consider direct eye contact from someone they view as lower status to be deeply offensive." Ethan adjusted his glasses. "And we still don't know where they place humans in their hierarchy, so I should be extra careful with eye contact and body language." "Exactly. And there's more." Ethan brought up an image of a Vorsidian. Their tall, angular bodies and 6-limbed physiology made them immediately alien. Their skin had a bluish tint, and their 3 eyes were arranged in a triangle pattern. New intelligence suggests they mark their bodies to show status. Higher castes have ritual scarring on their upper limbs. Never comment on these markings. It would be like asking a human about their private parts. Daniel studied the images carefully. "Anything else?" "They seem obsessed with strength, not just military power, but personal physical capability. They respect those who show resilience." After the briefing, Daniel returned to his quarters and opened a private channel to Earth. His wife's face appeared on the screen, her smile lighting up even across hundreds of millions of miles. "Daniel," Olivia Green said softly, "how are you feeling?" "Nervous," he admitted, "but ready. How are things at the university?" Olivia pushed a strand of brown hair from her face. "My students are following your mission closely. The whole world is watching, honey." "No pressure," Daniel said with a weak laugh. "You'll do fine. Just remember why they chose you. Your calmness under pressure, your ability to see all sides of a situation." They talked for another 20 minutes, careful to avoid classified details on the open channel. When they said goodbye, Daniel felt the familiar ache of missing her, mixed with renewed purpose. The next 3 days passed quickly. Final preparations, equipment checks, and endless briefings filled every hour. Before Daniel knew it, the USS Endeavour had reached the edge of the Vorsidian system. "This is as far as we go," Captain Miller said during their final meeting. Your diplomatic shuttle will take you the rest of the way. Standard check-in procedures every 8 hours. And if we miss a check-in? Daniel asked. We wait 24 hours, then send a message through official channels. After 48 hours with no contact, I have authorization for a limited rescue operation. She paused. But let's make sure it doesn't come to that. The diplomatic team consisted of 5 people: Daniel, Dr. Wright, Communications Specialist Maria Diaz, Security Chief Vincent Cardwell, and Cultural Attaché Susan Baker. They boarded the shuttle with minimal personal items and maximum hopes. The Vorsidian homeworld grew larger in the view screen as they approached. Unlike Earth, it had no blue oceans, only vast continents in shades of red and brown. Their cities were enormous, sprawling structures that seemed to form geometric patterns visible even from space. Diplomatic shuttle, came a harsh voice over the communication system. Follow transmitted landing coordinates precisely. Deviation will be considered hostile. Understood, Maria responded, following your guidance. They descended through the atmosphere, passing through layers of high-altitude defense platforms. The shuttle computers registered weapons locked onto them at all times. Friendly bunch, Vincent muttered. The landing pad sat atop a massive tower that rose above the capital city. As they touched down, Daniel saw a delegation of Vorsidians waiting in precise formation. Remember, Daniel told his team as they prepared to disembark, we represent not just Earth, but humanity's first steps into the wider galaxy. Let's make a good impression. The door opened, revealing the alien world. The air that rushed in carried strange scents, metallic and sweet at the same time. The gravity felt slightly stronger than Earth's, making each step require extra effort. The Vorsidian delegation stood perfectly still as the humans approached. Their leader, taller than the others and covered in elaborate scarring, stepped forward. Ambassador Green, it said through a translation device. I am Supreme Commander Vorkath. Welcome to Vorsidian Prime. Daniel bowed slightly, careful not to make direct eye contact. Supreme Commander, I bring greetings from Earth and the Terran Alliance. We are honored by your invitation. The honor, Vorkath replied, is in your acceptance of our ways. Something in the way the Supreme Commander emphasized those last words sent a chill down Daniel's spine. But he smiled and continued forward, taking the first steps that would change humanity's future forever. The first 3 days of negotiations seemed to go well. The Vorsidians provided luxurious quarters for the human delegation in a tall spire overlooking the capital city. Daniel and his team attended elaborate ceremonies and formal meetings with various Vorsidian officials. They exchanged cultural information and discussed potential trade agreements, but on the 4th day, everything changed. Daniel sat across from Supreme Commander Vorkath in the Grand Chamber. The room was circular with high ceilings and strange, angular decorations that seemed to shift in the corner of one's eye. 6 other high-ranking Vorsidians flanked their leader. These terms for resource exchange are unacceptable, Vorkath said suddenly. The translation device couldn't hide the harshness in the alien's voice. Daniel kept his expression neutral. Perhaps you could explain which parts you find problematic. You propose equal exchange rates. This suggests you consider humans to be equals of Vorsidians. Vorkath's 3 eyes narrowed. This is deeply offensive. Dr. Wright shifted uncomfortably beside Daniel. They had prepared for cultural misunderstandings but not outright rejection of basic diplomatic courtesy. Supreme Commander, Daniel said carefully, on Earth, fair trade is considered the foundation of positive relations between different groups. What is fair is determined by natural order, Vorkath replied. And in the natural order of the galaxy, some species lead and others follow. The mood in the room darkened. The other Vorsidians began making clicking sounds with their mouth parts, a behavior Dr. Wright had never mentioned in his briefings. Daniel tried a different approach. Perhaps we can find middle ground that respects both our perspectives. Vorkath rose to his full height, nearly 9 feet tall. There is no middle ground between strength and weakness, Ambassador Green. You will learn this soon. The meeting ended abruptly. As the human delegation returned to their quarters, Vincent Cardwell, the security chief, voiced his concerns. "I don't like this," he said. Checking the corridor was empty. "Something's changed in their attitude." Maria Diaz nodded. "I've been monitoring their public broadcasts. There's been an increase in military imagery in the last 12 hours. We should contact the Endeavor early," Daniel decided. "Move up our check-in time." But when they tried to use their communication equipment, they found all channels blocked. "They're jamming us," Maria said, her fingers flying over the controls. "I can't get through." Susan Baker, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "The servants who bring our meals have stopped making eye contact, and there are more guards outside our doors." Daniel made a quick decision. "Vincent, secure our quarters. Maria, keep trying to break through the jamming. Dr. Wright, what could have caused this change in their behavior?" Before Ethan could answer, the doors to their quarters slid open. 20 Vorsidian soldiers entered, weapons drawn. "By order of the High Command, you will come with us," the lead soldier announced. Vincent reached for his sidearm, but Daniel stopped him with a gesture. They were outnumbered and on an alien world. Fighting now would only get them killed. "Under what authority are you detaining diplomatic representatives?" Daniel asked calmly. "You are not diplomats," the soldier replied. "You are specimens." They were separated and taken to different locations. Daniel found himself in a small white room with a single table in the center. 3 Vorsidians in unfamiliar uniforms waited for him. "Ambassador Green," said one wearing elaborate red markings. "I am Chief Examiner Vortek. You will answer our questions truthfully." The interrogation lasted hours. They asked about Earth's defenses, population centers, and military capabilities. Daniel revealed nothing beyond what was already shared in official documents. "Your resistance is noted," Vortek said finally. "Now we will learn what we need, through other methods." 2 soldiers entered and forced Daniel onto the table. Despite his struggles, they secured his limbs with metal restraints. "The High Command has decided your species requires a demonstration," Vortek explained, activating a floating device filled with surgical instruments. "After studying your broadcasts, we understand humans respond to visual evidence of dominance." "This is a violation of interstellar law," Daniel said, fighting to keep his voice steady. "Laws are written by the strong," Vortek replied. "When we are finished with you, your people will understand their place in our empire." Aboard the USS Endeavor, Captain Miller paced the bridge. "It's been 36 hours since their last check-in," she said to her first officer, Commander Alex Rivera. "Standard protocol says we wait 48 hours, Alex reminded her. "I don't like it," Samantha said. "The Vorsidians have increased their patrol activity near the edge of their system. Something's wrong." She made her decision. "Prepare a small stealth shuttle. I want a reconnaissance team ready in 2 hours." "That goes against our orders," Alex said, though his expression showed he agreed with her. "I'd rather face a court-martial than abandon our people," Samantha replied. Lieutenant Ryan Foster volunteered to lead the mission. His team of 4 used a shuttle with experimental cloaking technology to slip past Vorsidian patrols. They landed on the outskirts of the capital city and made their way toward the diplomatic quarters in stolen Vorsidian maintenance uniforms. "Life signs show they're not in their assigned location," reported Specialist Kate Winters, checking her scanner. Ryan adjusted their course, following faint human biosignatures. Their path led them to a massive structure separate from the main city, a building with heavy security that the team's translator identified as the Hall of Subjugation. They found an unguarded service entrance and made their way inside. The halls were mostly empty, with only occasional Vorsidian personnel passing by. "Signal stronger," Kate whispered. 2 levels down. They used a maintenance lift to descend. The lower level opened into a wide viewing gallery. What they saw there would haunt them forever. In the center of a circular room surrounded by Vorsidian observers was Ambassador Green. He was suspended in a transparent container filled with bluish liquid. His limbs had been removed at the joints and tubes connected to his torso kept him alive. His eyes were open, aware of the horror inflicted upon him. Similar containers held the other members of the diplomatic team, each mutilated in different ways. "Gods," breathed Corporal John Ramirez. "They're displaying them like trophies." Ryan fought back nausea and focused on their mission. "Kate, record everything. John, locate any surveillance and loop it. We need to get this evidence back to the ship." A Vorsidian voice echoed through a speaker system. "This exhibition demonstrates the proper handling of lesser species who presume equality. The human specimens will remain conscious for your educational benefit." Ryan wanted desperately to attempt a rescue, but they were 4 humans against an entire facility of Vorsidians. The brutal truth was that they couldn't save the ambassadorial team, but they could ensure their sacrifice wasn't in vain. "We move. Out in 2 minutes," Ryan ordered. "Earth needs to know what happened here." They had nearly reached their extraction point when a Vorsidian patrol spotted them. In the ensuing firefight, John and Specialist Luis Gomez provided cover while Ryan and Kate escaped with the evidence. The shuttle lifted off with Vorsidian fighters in hot pursuit. They barely made it back to the Endeavor, which immediately broke orbit and headed for the jump point. Captain Miller watched the footage in her private quarters, tears streaming down her face. When it ended, she sent a priority message to Earth. "Command, diplomatic mission failed. Ambassador Green and team captured and mutilated, returning with evidence of war crimes. Recommend immediate military response." The USS Endeavor returned to Earth orbit 17 days after leaving the Vorsidian system. Captain Miller had sent the footage ahead through faster-than-light communication, but Earth's leaders had kept it classified. They wanted time to prepare before the public learned the truth. That plan failed when someone leaked the images to the global network. People across Earth watched in horror as the recording showed what had been done to Ambassador Green and his team. Protests erupted outside government buildings in every major city. Citizens demanded action, justice, and revenge. President Alicia Bennett called an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council. Representatives from all nations gathered in New York as billions watched the broadcast. President Bennett stood at the podium, her face grim. 3 years ago, humanity learned we are not alone in the universe. We hoped for friendship and cooperation with our galactic neighbors. We extended our hand in peace. The chamber was silent as she continued. The Vorsidian Empire has answered our peaceful overture with barbarity. They have tortured and mutilated our ambassador and his team. They have violated every principle of decency and diplomatic protocol. She pressed a button, and screens around the chamber displayed sanitized images of the atrocity. Gasps and cries filled the room. "I have authorized the release of this evidence so that all of humanity understands what we face. The Vorsidian Empire believes we are weak. They believe we will accept this treatment. They are wrong." The president's voice hardened. "I am asking this council to authorize a unified military response, not just for vengeance, but because our intelligence indicates this atrocity is merely the first step in the Vorsidians' plans. They intend to invade Earth." General William Hayes, a tall man with silver hair and a chest full of medals, stepped forward to present the evidence. Vorsidian communications intercepted by Captain Miller's team reveal their intentions. The public mutilation of diplomatic representatives is a cultural signal. It announces their claim of ownership over a species. He showed diagrams of Vorsidian fleet movements. They're already mobilizing invasion forces. We estimate we have 3 months before they arrive in our solar system. The debate lasted 5 hours, but the vote was unanimous. For the first time in history, all nations of Earth united against an external threat. The Terran Defense Alliance was formed, with General Hayes as supreme commander. Across the planet, war preparation began. Factories that had made cars now produced armored vehicles. Shipyards that built cruise liners now constructed warships. Scientists who had competed against each other now worked together. At the Advanced Defense Initiative headquarters in Colorado, Dr. Natalie Chen led a team of researchers analyzing Vorsidian technology from previous trade exchanges. Their ships use a different approach to faster-than-light travel, she explained to General Hayes during his inspection. It's more efficient but has a vulnerability. They must drop their shields for 30 seconds when exiting FTL. Can we exploit that? Hayes asked. We're developing specialized missiles that can detect the energy signature of an FTL exit and automatically target ships during that vulnerable window. Good. What else? Dr. Chen moved to another laboratory. We've studied their biology from tissue samples acquired during trade missions. Their resistance to radiation is lower than ours. We're adapting our nuclear warheads to maximize radiation output. The general nodded grimly. I never thought we'd consider nuclear weapons again, but these aren't humans we're fighting. In orbit, the Terran fleet grew daily. Old satellites were retrofitted with weapons. The moon became a fortress of defensive platforms. Mars colonies established early warning systems. Captain Miller received a promotion to admiral in command of the First Fleet, 10 warships, and 20 support vessels. The USS Endeavour, now upgraded with experimental weapons, became her flagship. We're not waiting for them to come to us, she told her officers during the first strategy meeting. We're taking the fight to them. Lieutenant Ryan Foster, now Captain Foster after his brave reconnaissance mission, commanded the newly commissioned stealth vessel USS Vengeance. His mission would be the most dangerous, to infiltrate Vorsidian space ahead of the main fleet and gather intelligence. We need to know if Ambassador Green and the others are still alive, Admiral Miller told him privately. And if they are, we need to bring them home. Yes, ma'am, Foster replied. My crew is ready. We've been training with the new stealth systems. This mission is strictly voluntary, Miller reminded him. The risk of capture is high. Foster's expression hardened. After what I saw in that facility, every member of my crew volunteered. We're going to make those monsters pay. 2 months after the UN vote, Earth's defense plans were tested when 3 Vorsidian scout ships entered the solar system. They were detected near Jupiter and immediately targeted by the new defense systems. All 3 were destroyed before they could send messages home. They were mapping our defenses, General Hayes told the Security Council. The main invasion force won't be far behind. President Bennett made another address to the people of Earth. The time has come to show the galaxy that humanity will not be subjugated. We did not seek this war, but we will finish it. Today, our fleet departs to bring justice to those who have harmed us and threatened our world. From shipyards around Earth, warships rose into orbit. Workers cheered, and families said goodbye to crew members. In homes across the planet, people watched as the largest fleet in human history prepared for battle. Aboard the USS Endeavour, Admiral Miller stood on the bridge as her ships formed up. All vessels report ready, Admiral, her first officer announced. Good, Miller said. Transmit the Green Protocol to all ships. The Green Protocol was the battle plan named in honor of the mutilated ambassador. It called for overwhelming force, adaptable tactics, and no mercy for Vorsidian military targets. Miller looked at the main screen showing Earth below them, blue, green, and beautiful. Worth fighting for, worth dying for. Send the signal to all ships, she ordered. Operation Righteous Response is now active. Across the fleet, engines flared as humanity's answer to alien cruelty began its journey to Vorsidian space. They carried with them the hopes of their species and a simple message: never mistake humanity's desire for peace as weakness. The journey to Vorsidian space took 3 weeks at maximum faster than light speed. The human fleet traveled in 3 separate groups to avoid detection. Admiral Miller commanded the main battle group. 2 smaller groups approached from different vectors to surround the Vorsidian homeworld. Captain Foster and the USS Vengeance arrived first. The stealth ship slipped past the outer patrols using its advanced cloaking technology. Foster's mission had 2 parts: gather intelligence on Vorsidian defenses and locate any surviving human prisoners. Scan complete, reported Lieutenant Kate Winters at the sensor station. They've increased their orbital defenses since our last visit, counting 67 defense platforms and over 200 warships. Foster studied the tactical display. What about the Hall of Subjugation? Any human life signs? Kate adjusted the sensors. Yes, sir. Faint readings. At least 3 humans, still alive in the facility. Foster's hands tightened on his chair's armrests. Send the data to Admiral Miller. Then prepare the rescue team. We move tonight. While the Vengeance maintained its hiding position behind one of the Vorsidian moons, Foster led a team of 12 Special Forces soldiers to the surface. They used small personal drop pods designed to evade detection. The pods landed 10 miles from the capital city in a remote area of rocky terrain. "Move out," Foster ordered once everyone had assembled. "Remember, this is primarily a rescue mission. We engage only when necessary." They approached the city using the cover of darkness and wearing adaptive camouflage suits that mimicked the surrounding environment. Vorsidian security seemed relaxed. They clearly didn't expect an attack on their homeworld. The team reached the Hall of Subjugation shortly before dawn. Using stolen access codes gathered during their previous mission, they entered through a maintenance tunnel. "Life sign stronger now," Kate said through the comlink. "Level 3, Eastern Section." The team encountered 2 Vorsidian guards at the security checkpoint. Specialist Jack Perez took them down with tranquilizer darts before they could sound an alarm. 30 minutes until the next patrol," Foster said, checking the facility's schedule on his wrist computer. "Move quickly." They found the human prisoners in the same exhibition hall as before. The sight was even worse than Foster remembered. Ambassador Green and 2 others, Dr. Wright and Maria Diaz, floated in the transparent containers. Their mutilated bodies were kept alive by Vorsidian medical technology. Tubes and wires connected to their vital organs. Their eyes moved, showing they were conscious. "Get them out of there," Foster ordered, his voice tight with anger. Carefully, the team's medical officer, Dr. Linda Patterson, directed the operation. "We need to disconnect these systems gradually. Too fast and the shock could kill them." While they worked, Foster received an urgent message from the Vengeance. "Captain, the human fleet has arrived. Admiral Miller is engaging the Vorsidian forces in orbit." Above the planet, the space battle had begun. The human fleet dropped out of FTL at precisely calculated points, targeting Vorsidian ships during their vulnerable shield-down moments. 20 enemy vessels were destroyed in the first minute of combat. Admiral Miller stood on the bridge of the USS Endeavour, calmly giving orders as the battle unfolded around her. "Target their command ships first," she directed. "Deploy the radiation missiles against their troop carriers." The Vorsidians recovered from their initial surprise and began to mount a defense. Their ships outnumbered the human fleet, but Earth's vessels had better shields and more powerful weapons. Dr. Chen's research had paid off. "Enemy reinforcements arriving from their colonies," reported Commander Alex Rivera. "Deploy countermeasures," Miller ordered, "and send the signal to battle groups 2 and 3. The hidden human battle groups revealed themselves, catching the Vorsidian reinforcements in a deadly crossfire. The space around the alien homeworld lit up with explosions and weapons fire. On the surface, Foster's team worked frantically to extract the human prisoners. "We've got them stabilized," Dr. Patterson reported. "But they're in critical condition. We need to get them to a proper medical facility soon." Foster nodded. "Prepare for extraction. Jack, set the charges." They had placed explosive devices throughout the facility, not just to cover their escape but to ensure no other species would suffer in this place of horrors. As they moved toward the exit, alarms suddenly blared through the building. "Our presence has been detected," Foster said. "New plan. Jack, trigger the charges now. Everyone else, combat formation." The first explosions rocked the facility as Vorsidian security forces converged on their position. The team fought their way out, using narrow corridors to negate the aliens' superior numbers. "Vengeance, we need emergency extraction," Foster called through his comm. Original plan compromised. The stealth ship broke its cover and descended into the atmosphere, firing precision weapons to clear a landing zone near the team's position. 500 yards to extraction point," Foster told his team as they carried the 3 hovering gurneys with the rescued humans. "Keep moving." Vorsidian fighters appeared overhead, targeting the area around them. The ground shook with explosions as Foster's team made their final push to the extraction point. The Vengeance touched down, its rear ramp opening while defense systems engaged the Vorsidian fighters. Foster directed his team inside, ensuring the injured prisoners were loaded first. "Everyone aboard?" he asked, counting heads as he backed up the ramp, still firing at pursuing Vorsidians. "All accounted for," Dr. Patterson confirmed. But we've got wounded. 2 team members had been hit during the escape. Foster helped them inside, then signaled the pilot. Get us out of here. Maximum burn to orbit. The Vengeance lifted off, accelerating hard enough that the artificial gravity struggled to compensate. Vorsidian defense systems tracked them, but the ship's advanced countermeasures confused the targeting systems. As they broke through the atmosphere, Foster got his first view of the space battle. The human fleet had formed a defensive perimeter, their weapons creating a wall of fire that kept Vorsidian ships at bay. The Endeavor sat at the center of the formation, directing the battle. Admiral Miller, this is Captain Foster. We have the prisoners. Repeat, we have recovered Ambassador Green and 2 others. There was a moment of silence before Miller's voice responded. Understood, Captain. Well done. Proceed to medical frigate. USS Mercy at coordinates being transmitted now. Foster turned to Dr. Patterson, who was monitoring the vital signs of the rescued prisoners. How are they? Stable for now, she replied. The Vorsidians kept them alive but in constant pain. They're heavily sedated. Ambassador Green is trying to communicate. Foster moved to the ambassador's side. Despite his horrific injuries, Daniel Green's eyes were alert. He was trying to mouth words. What is it, sir? Foster asked, leaning closer. Green managed to whisper 2 words. Their weakness. Foster looked at Dr. Patterson. He's been gathering intelligence while captive. The strength of the human spirit, she said softly. Even after what they did to him. As the Vengeance docked with the medical frigate, Foster received new orders from Admiral Miller. The final phase of the Green Protocol was about to begin. Aboard the medical frigate USS Mercy, doctors worked to save Ambassador Green and the other survivors. Advanced medical technology kept them alive, but their injuries were severe. The Vorsidians had removed limbs and some organs, replacing them with alien devices designed to cause pain while preventing death. Admiral Miller visited the medical bay as soon as the battle allowed. She stood beside Green's bed, looking down at what remained of the man who had gone to the Vorsidians in peace. Ambassador, she said softly, I'm sorry we didn't come sooner. Green's eyes focused on her. The doctors had connected him to a vocal synthesizer that allowed him to speak. Not your fault, he said, his artificial voice flat but clear. They planned this from the beginning. Trade was just a way to study us. Captain Foster said you discovered a weakness. Green's eyes showed a spark of determination that the Vorsidians had failed to extinguish. Their leadership caste. They connect directly to their subordinates through neural implants. It's how they maintain control over their empire. Miller leaned closer. Go on. The implants use a specific frequency to communicate. Disrupt that frequency with enough power, and you break their command structure. Green paused, gathering strength. I overheard the doctors who worked on me. They thought I couldn't understand their language. Miller squeezed his shoulder gently, one of the few parts of him that remained intact. You've given us a chance, Ambassador. We'll make them pay for what they did to you. Not revenge, Green said. Justice and protection for Earth. Miller nodded and left to contact General Hayes. Within hours, Dr. Chen and her team had designed a weapon based on Green's intelligence, the Prometheus device. It would generate a massive energy pulse on the specific frequency used by Vorsidian neural implants. The battle above the Vorsidian homeworld continued for 3 days. Human ships took heavy losses but inflicted even greater damage on the enemy fleet. The Vorsidians fought with increasing desperation as their numbers dwindled. On the 4th day, Admiral Miller gathered her remaining captains for a final briefing. The Prometheus device is ready, she told them. But to work effectively, it must be deployed within the atmosphere of the Vorsidian homeworld. The pulse needs to reach their central leadership complex. Captain Foster spoke up. The Vengeance can do it. Our stealth systems can get us close enough. Miller shook her head. The device is too large for your ship. It requires the power systems of a major warship. She paused. I'll take the Endeavor. Commander Rivera objected. Admiral, the Endeavor is our command ship. We can't risk this. Is not open for discussion, Commander, Miller said firmly. I'm not asking anyone to do something I wouldn't do myself. The plan was set. The human fleet would create a diversion, drawing Vorsidian forces away from the capital city. The Endeavor would then make a high-speed run to deploy the Prometheus device. As preparations were made, Miller received a surprising message from the medical frigate. Ambassador Green was requesting transfer to the Endeavor. That's out of the question, Miller told Dr. Patterson when she arrived with Green. He's in no condition to leave medical care. I need to be there, Green insisted through his synthesizer. This mission is about more than military victory. It's about showing the Vorsidians and the galaxy what humanity stands for. Miller saw the resolve in his eyes. Very well, Ambassador, but you'll remain in the medical bay during the operation. Green nodded, accepting the compromise. The final battle began at dawn. The human fleet launched a massive attack against the Vorsidian orbital defenses. As the aliens moved to defend, the Endeavor broke from formation and accelerated toward the planet. Enemy ships in pursuit, Rivera reported from the tactical station. 6 heavy cruisers closing fast. Maintain course, Miller ordered. All power to engines and rear shields. The Endeavor shook as Vorsidian weapons fire impacted their shields. Damage reports came in from all decks, but the ship pressed on. Entering atmosphere in 30 seconds, the navigator announced. Miller activated the ship-wide comm. All hands brace for atmospheric entry and prepare for deployment of the Prometheus device. The massive warship plunged into the Vorsidian atmosphere, its hull glowing red with the heat of entry. The pursuing ships followed, determined to stop them. Shields failing, Rivera warned. Hull temperature approaching critical levels. Target locked on the central government complex, the weapons officer reported. Miller gave the order. Deploy the Prometheus device. The bottom of the ship opened, releasing the device. It fell toward the sprawling complex below, its systems activating as it descended. Device deployed. Impact in 15 seconds. Miller turned to her first officer. Get us out of here, maximum thrust. The Endeavor strained to climb back into space, engines burning beyond safety limits. Behind them, the Prometheus device detonated. There was no explosion, just a massive pulse of invisible energy spreading across the planet. The effect was immediate. The pursuing Vorsidian ships suddenly stopped firing. Some began drifting aimlessly. Others turned and fired on each other. It's working, Rivera said in amazement. Their command structure is collapsing. Throughout the Vorsidian fleet, similar chaos erupted. Without the neural connection to their leaders, the lower castes didn't know what to do. Some ships surrendered immediately. Others fled in disarray. Miller received reports from the planet's surface. The Vorsidian government had collapsed. The leadership caste was incapacitated, their neural implants overloaded by the Prometheus pulse. In the medical bay, Ambassador Green watched the sensor feeds. Despite everything they had done to him, he felt no joy in the Vorsidians' defeat. Only relief that the threat to Earth was ended. 3 days later, a delegation of lower caste Vorsidians requested to board the Endeavor. They came unarmed and humble. The high castes no longer control us, their speaker told Miller. For generations, they used the neural implants to ensure our obedience. You have freed us, even as you defeated us. What do you want? Miller asked. Peace, the speaker replied simply. And time to build a new society, one not based on domination. Miller glanced at Ambassador Green, who had insisted on attending this meeting despite his condition. He gave a small nod. We will bring your request to Earth's leadership, Miller said. But know this, any peace must include guarantees against future aggression. The Vorsidian delegation agreed readily. As they left, Green spoke to Miller. This is how humanity differs from them, he said. We fight when we must, but we prefer to make peace when we can. 1 month later, representatives from Earth and the new Vorsidian government signed a formal peace treaty. Ambassador Green, now fitted with advanced prosthetics, attended the ceremony. He would never fully recover from what had been done to him, but he had survived and helped secure humanity's future among the stars. As Green looked out at the stars from the observation deck afterward, his wife Olivia joined him. She had traveled from Earth for the signing ceremony. "Was it worth it?" she asked softly, taking his prosthetic hand in hers. Green thought about everything that had happened, the pain, the war, the dead on both sides. Then he thought about Earth, safe now, and the new era of interstellar relations that was beginning. "Yes," he said finally. "It was. Not the suffering, but what came after. Humanity has proven itself. We've shown the galaxy that we value peace, but we will never accept tyranny." Together, they watched as ships from Earth and other worlds passed by the window, carrying representatives of a new galactic order, one in which humanity would play a significant role.